Now that we have our folders and our files set up, we can start to insert our text from the example document that you were provided as a resource for this course. So I'm going to first start with the abstract, and we're going to insert the abstract text, and we're going to use the command begin abstract because it'll format it in a certain way for an abstract. So begin abstract, and it put a little X and it's in red right now because we need end abstract as well. So and then when you hit enter, it put it in for you, but you could have typed it yourself as well. So now we have begin abstract, end abstract, and we can then put in the text. So let's go to the file with the text. And I'm going to just insert this. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste. And then let's compile this, so Control S or recompile, and see what happens. There, so it inserted it just like an abstract, and it also, you'll notice, indented this first line here. Now, LaTeX defaults to indent every paragraph, but if you don't like that, there is a way to make that not happen. So I think it looks okay here for the abstract, but as we go through the document, I'm going to probably not want to have every paragraph indented because I tend to like to have spaces between my paragraphs, but that's a preference thing. So you can leave it with the default if you'd like, or I'll show you in a second how you can do this without the indent. So let's now go to the introduction. And we already started that section. So sections are always \section and then the name of the section. So now we can go to the example text and copy the text for that. And we're first going to just start with inserting all the text. So we're going to ignore the table and the images that are in there right now, and we'll come back to this in another video. So we're going to focus on one thing at a time. So I'm just going to copy the text here. I think that's all of it. Yep. All right. And I pasted it in here, and you'll see that something interesting happened here. So I'm going to show you why that happened in a second. So when we input this text, there was a percentage in the text, but for LaTeX, when you have a percent symbol, that means a comment. So it changed everything after this percent here into blue. That means that it will not show up in the document. So we have to make sure that our percent symbol is inserted the proper way. So to make sure the percent symbol here is not thought of as a comment by LaTeX, all we have to do for this is to put a backslash before the percent symbol. So once you do that, now all the text here that was blue, indicating it was a comment, is now black again. And we can check that by compiling it. So now if you look over here on the right hand side, you'll see 98% right there. Okay, so now let's go and insert text for the other files here, for the other sections. So I'm going to go back to our example text document. And let's go to the sun's interior, and we'll start inserting the text. So first I'm just going to take the first paragraph here, and then I'm going to show you how to create a subsection. And then I'm going to go over to sun interior, and we're going to create a new section. And then I'm going to paste in the text that I just copied. And then I'm just going to compile that. And now on the right, let's go and scroll down to see it. So here's our second section here, the sun's interior. And now we're going to make a new paragraph. So I'm just going to jump down here. And let's go back to the document. And like I said before, we're going to skip the images for now. We're going to come back. So we're going to make a subsection called the core. And to do subsections in LaTeX, it's just / subsection. And then I'm going to insert this text here. Okay, so I have a couple paragraphs here, so I'm just going to hit enter. And LaTeX indents paragraphs automatically. So let's compile this and see what this looks like. So it didn't really matter that I put spaces in here because it didn't do that, it just indented it. We also seem to have an error, so let's go see what that is. Okay, so that's caused by the numbers here, the temperatures, so let's fix that. So I'm just going to show you what that says. So it didn't recognize what we have here for the degree symbol. This is where you're going to see your errors right here. So let's fix that now. In LaTeX, to display math symbols like this superscript circle or degree symbol here, there are two modes for writing this in LaTeX. So inline, so that would be like this situation where it's within the text, within the paragraph, or display mode where it would be separate from the paragraph of text and would be on separate lines. So we need the inline way. So there are 3 ways to do this inline, and I'm going to show you all 3 ways just so you can see how it can be done. And what we're going to really do is make a superscript circle to represent this degree symbol here. So the first way is to put a backslash, and then we put a round bracket, and then we indicate the superscript for the circle, and then we put another backslash and a round bracket. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. And then to indicate a circle in superscript, you use a caret. So that's Shift-6 on your keyboard, and then you type in \circ, and then you put another backslash, and then your round bracket. So I'm going to now remove the superscript 0 or circle here. And let's compile this and see if it worked. Now if you look on the right hand side, you'll see degrees Celsius right here. So that's the first way to do it. And there's really no right or wrong with that. It's just a preference. I find this way a little bit more cumbersome. So another way to do it is to use $signs around the caret circ right here. So I'm going to delete out those 2 things. Insert a $sign, and then I'm going to go over here and insert another $sign, and then I'll compile that again. And it didn't change because it's the same thing right here. And then the third way to do it is to use the commands begin math and end math. So I'll show you that way. And then I'll compile that again. And there we go, it didn't change. So I'm going to put it back to the $sign because I like that one the best. Okay, and I'm just going to compile that just to make sure it's okay still. There we go. So now let's talk a little bit about the paragraphing here. So like I said, LaTeX defaults to indenting the paragraphs, but I would prefer this to have a separate line and then no indent. So one way to do this is to insert a new package, or you can use 2 backslashes or backslash new line whenever you want to do that. But if you do too many of these with new line or backslashes, it can interfere with LaTeX typesetting algorithms. So it's probably better if we use the use package, parskip it's called. So I'm going to go back to the preamble in the main.tex file and we're going to insert this. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add a new package. And it's called parskip. And you can just start by typing the word and it should come up. And then I'm going to set the length of my paragraph indent to 0. So I'm going to do that here as well. So it already comes up with the command here, set length, and then 2 curly brackets. Inside the first curly bracket will be the paragraph indent. So I'm just going to hit this, and then I'm going to put backslash par indent, so the paragraph indent. And then inside the second curly bracket, I specify how many points, so how large I want it to be. Now I don't want an indent, so I'm going to put 0 point. Okay. Now let's go back to the sun interior section and let's recompile this. And now you see on the right hand side when we did that, now we have no defaulted paragraphs. Instead, because I added a separate line in between these, the paragraphs are separated by a line and there's no indent. So let's now insert our other sections and our other text. So that was the core. Let's go back to the file. And our next section or subsection is going to be the radiative zone. And this is the text for that. And you can just hit enter and it'll put in the command there, and then you can just type the radiative zone. And then I've just inserted the text there. Next subsection. So I'm going to go a bit quicker here because we're just copying and pasting and doing the same thing a few times. So the convection zone. The next subsection is the photosphere. And we have another degrees Celsius here, so we're going to insert the /circ math symbol there. So I'm going to go over here and we can just go up here to where we had the other one and just copy. Okay. And if you want, you can compile as you're going. So let's just compile this. Control S. Make sure there's no errors. Looks good. So here you can see we have the sun's interior, section 2, and then it numbers the subsections, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. Okay, let's go back to the document and copy in the rest. The next subsection is the chromosphere. The next one is the corona. And then we have the solar wind for the last subsection in this section on the sun's interior. Okay, so that should be all for the sun's interior. Let's just double check. So, yeah, that's the solar wind is the last one. So I think we got all of that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. So I'm just going to copy it here, just the beginning text. So this is going to be about sunspots, solar flares, and prominences, or you could call it solar activity. So we're now going to move to the other file, but before I do that, let's just compile this one more time. Okay, that looks good so far. Let's go to the solar activity file, and I'm going to create the section. So sunspots, solar flares, and prominences. And that's the intro text there. We'll go back to the example document, and we're going to create another subsection called sunspots. And we have some degrees Celsius here that we'll need to insert that symbol. So I'll just do it by hand here. So we have the $sign, and then we have the caret, shift 6, and then a backslash, CIRC for circle, and then the $sign. And I'll just copy that to the other location. Okay, I'll just compile that. All right, so section 3, now we have sunspots and our degree Celsius symbols here. Let's go back to the example document. And the next subsection is solar flares. And then the last one for this section is on prominences. So again, I'm inserting a subsection called prominences. Okay, so that text is there. Let's just recompile that. So Control S. And now you can see we have sunspots, solar flares, and prominences. All right, and now we'll go to the last, well, second last section, our sun's life cycle. I'm just going to start by copying the first part of the text there for now. So we're going to create a new section. And I'm just going to put a comment here to myself because this image is kind of in the middle. So you can use your % symbol. And I'll just say image of sun's life cycle. And then I'll put the rest of the text. So go back here and copy the rest of the text. And there we go, and we'll just compile that. Okay, and you can see that even though I put this comment here, and I left quite a bit of space between these paragraphs, it still only sees it as one line. It doesn't matter. All right, so now let's go to the conclusion. Create a new section. And I'll copy that text. And if you want, you can name this section summary. It doesn't really matter. This is just to show you an example of how to create an article using LaTeX. Okay, so I'll compile that now. There we go. So that's all the text for the article. And in the next video, I'm going to just show you a few more things about typesetting for the text, bolding and doing things like that. And then we'll get into how to insert the images and the table.